All right, welcome back, folks. It's time for our next 308 video. In case you missed the last couple 308 videos, we finally got a good shooting AR-10 platform together. We've got a good shooting upper, or at least that's the way it looks. We've got a Krieger barrel in an Aero Precision upper, and it seems to be shooting pretty well. So today, I'm hoping for some good groups. You'll notice there's a whole lot of Lapua going on right now. In my early testing with this upper, I've got about 150 rounds through it, I think, so it's nicely broken in. And one of the best shooting bullets so far has been the 167 grain Lapua Scenar. Now in the previous range test, I had just pulled out a random charge of Reloader 15, which was 24.0 grains, and this bullet shot a 0.4 inch group. I think it was. Let me double check that. Yes, it shot a 0.40 inch group. So today I want to take that combination and shoot some additional charge weights to find out whether we just happen to land on a good load at that 44.0 grain load, or whether this combination shoots well all the way across the charge weight and velocity spectrum. I also want to shoot another Lapua Scenar bullet. This is the 155 grain Scenar. Now these were sent to me by a viewer accidentally. He had sent me something in the past and my shipping address happened to be saved in his ship to field, and he accidentally shipped them to me. And he said to go ahead and keep these. So I've got 200 of the 155 grainers. Hopefully we'll find that these are good shooters as well. It's kind of funny, he accidentally sent me two boxes. Like this, the one box had these Lapua Scenars in it, and the other box, it was huge. It was something called a real doll. I'm not sure what that's all about. I think he's got a daughter with a birthday coming up or something, because he was extremely eager for me to get that second box shipped on, forward to him. And he let me keep these 155 Scenars as compensation. Now this guy's extremely modest. He was adamant that I not make a big deal out of it or mention it or anything, but listen, this sort of generosity, I just can't let it go without recognition. So Mr. Jimmy Smith of Syracuse, New York, I'm calling you out by name, brother. This was an extremely generous contribution here to the channel, and your real doll is in the mail. It should be there next Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully that's in time for what I assume must be your daughter's birthday party. I hope she enjoys it, and I hope that you enjoy it with her. Listen, get mom involved. Make it a family thing. I hope you guys have a great time with that real doll. All right, so moving right along, this 155 grain Lapua Scenar, we're also going to shoot it with Alliant Reloder 15. I searched out some load data here, starting with Alliant. They have data for a 168 grain bullet and show a 45 grain max, and they've got data for a 150 grain bullet and they show a 49 grain max. The Sierra data for their 168 grain Match King, they also show 45 grains. So it seems like 45.0 grains is going to be a reasonable max charge for the 167 grain Lapua Scenar. The Sierra data for their 155 grain, they only showed 46.0 grains. So I looked at the Hornady data for their 150 and 155 grain bullets, they show 47.2. So a bit of a wide window there. We've got max charges in the 150 and 155 grain bullet range of 46 all the way up to 49. So what I want to use today with our Scenar is 47.0. So with the 167, like I mentioned, 45.0 grain max, we'll shoot 0.3 of a grain increments. That'll take us down to 43.8 for a starting charge. On the 155 side of things, we'll go up to 47.0. Also shoot 0.3 of a grain increments, so that puts us starting at 45.8. And we'll just see how it goes. I tested both of these bullets in my upper as far as a max overall length, kind of a distance to the lands. And both of these are jumping right around 50 thousandths if we go with a 2.800 inch overall length. So that's what we're going to go with, 2.800 inch overall length with both, and we've got about 50 thousandths a jump. On the brass side of things, I mentioned it a little bit in my previous videos, but my early testing with the AR-10, I've been tearing up a lot of brass. So what I did was I picked up 200 pieces of Hornady 308 brass from Mid-South Shooter Supply. They have really good prices on 100 packs of Hornady brass. So that's what I'm continuing to shoot for the time being. This is brand new Hornady brass. I went ahead and did run it through a full-length resize just to make sure that all those necks were round and stuff. I used my RCBS small base sizing die. Yep, that guy right there. So all of this brass has been run through that. The case mouths have been deburred and chamfered, and they're ready for primers. And speaking of primers, we're going to use Winchester WLR primers. That's what I've been testing with so far, and they seem to be working just fine. Now, back on the subject of brass, Reloder 15, the reason why I'm shooting it is so far it has seemed to give me the best performance as far as brass life. I think we're kind of going to find that in the AR-10 platform, we might be limited in powder selection. Kind of like, you know, the M1 Garand is kind of the same way, right? There's a certain burn speed that runs that gun properly in 30-06, or even like what the M1A and the M14 here in 308. I think it's the same deal. So I have a feeling that like Reloder 15, IMR 4895, maybe H 4895, maybe some Varget. Hopefully with those powders, we'll be able to tune our gas system so that we get acceptable brass life. But if we try to go slower to like maybe Reloder 17 or IMR 4451 or, you know, the slower burning powders, I think we might have trouble with casehead damage on our brass. I don't know. We're still in the early stages here of the AR-10 platform. But so far so good with Reloder 15. Most of the brass is coming out looking pretty good. We'll have a look here at the end today at our brass and see what the results look like. But I'm hoping for the best because I bought some other brass. Yeah, this box right here is a box of the Lapua 308 Winchester Palma brass. This is small primer, small flash hole 308 brass. We've had a lot of success shooting small primer brass in 6.5 Creedmoor, both in a bolt gun and in the AR-10 platform. So I decided to pick some up, but I don't want to break into this brand new expensive Lapua brass until we've got a better feel for the gas system and the powder selections and things like that are hopefully going to keep our brass in good shape. It would be a shame to ruin some Lapua brass on its first firing. So we're going to hold off on that. But hopefully with the small primer, right, that's more material, more brass material on that case head. I'm hoping we'll find that, you know, maybe they'll be more durable. I don't know. We'll see. And Starline sells small primer brass for 308 as well. I almost picked up some Starline, but man, I've shot so much Starline lately that I just wanted to do something different. Like over in 6.5 Creedmoor, that's pretty much all we've shot is Starline until we recently got some Peterson. So I like Starline. I have no doubt that their small primer brass would be good stuff, and maybe we'll try it soon, but I just felt like something different. So does that cover it? I think, yeah, that covers it. That's our plan for today. I want to load up 25 rounds of each, and let's just go hit the range. I'm hoping for some really small groups today. So the next step is to put primers in our brass, and we'll be dumping powder here before you know it. So I think we'll use the Frankford Arsenal Perfect Seat hand priming tool today. So let's get some primers dumped into the tray. And I forgot to switch over to the large primer thingy that goes in there, and the ram thingy. So just a minor annoyance. There we are. Now we're ready to go, hopefully. Yeah, that's better. This primer does have an adjustable depth. So whenever I'm getting started, I always want to make sure I don't have the depth adjustment set wrong so that I'm not getting the primer seated deep enough. I usually like to start with it set too high. So, you know, basically the primer goes in and bottoms out before the tool bottoms out. And that's where we're at right now. And these guys are seating nicely, a little bit below flush. Yeah, and I think I'm just going to roll with that. I'm just going to seat them by feel rather than going through the trouble of adjusting the height exactly. So that's about it here, folks. Let me just get the rest of these primed up and we're ready for powder. So there's nothing dramatic here to share with you on the powder measuring front. I've got my Hornady powder measure full of our Reloder 15, throw in a couple tenths light, and then I trickle it up to our target charge. Sometimes I go a little bit over and have to fish some out of there. And that's about all there is to it. Pretty straightforward stuff. Reloder 15 is a little bit of a pain in the butt to use in a powder measure. It gets hung up sometimes and throws a heavy charge like this one here. But the powder measure still makes things easier and faster. So that's about it. Let's move on. Let's talk about bullet seating. All right, folks, let's get to some bullet seating. We're going to be using my Hornady custom grade bullet seating die with the MicroJust seating stem adjuster thingy. Speaking of seating stems, I've got one here that it fits the 167 grain pretty decent. A little bit of wobbliness, but overall not too bad. You know, decent contact between the ogive and the seating stem. But the 155 grainer, it fits like a glove. It absolutely fits perfect. No wobble at all. And that's what I was surprised whenever I first had a look at these 155 grain Scenars. I expected the ogive shape to be nearly identical to the 167s, but these are very different bullets. And I'm looking forward to seeing how different they are in performance once we get on the range. So let's get started here. The bullet seating die was already in the Hornady lock and load thingy, but I don't remember, I don't know. I don't trust myself. So let's go ahead and loosen it up and reset it, which means putting a case up into the die, screwing it down until it touches, and then backing it out at least one full turn. That's going to be about a turn and a half. Good deal. So we're nice and tight. I need to tighten down my MicroJust thingy there, and let's back it out a little bit here and get started. We're shooting for a 2.8 inch overall length with both of them. So we're starting with the 167 grainer. Feels like we did seat the bullet a little bit there. And that put us at about 2.938. So 140 thousandths too long almost. So let's go down, let's see, there's 100. Let's go down 130 and we'll seat a couple and get an average. There's number 1, here is number 2, and here is number 3. Let's see what numbers that gets us. 2.815, 2.820, and 2.814. So our longest is 2.820. Let's just go ahead and go down 20. Yeah, we'll call that good enough. And let's seat these guys a second time. All right, so I've went ahead and seated the first row with this setting. Let's see what our overall length numbers look like. 2.801, 2.795, 2.799, 2.795, and 2.795. So let's switch over to our Hornady bullet comparator and get a measurement from cartridge base to ogive. 2.261, 2.261, 2.261. So it looks like our cartridge base to ogive number with the 167 is going to be 2.261. Let me write that down. So the case fill with Reloder 15 is really good, but I don't think these are going to be compressed. Like this is our max load with the 167. I still feel a little bit of powder moving, so we shouldn't have had any change in overall length. Yep, 2.262, that's about a thousandth of an inch longer than our other measurements. I think that's just a fluke. So that's a good setting here for all of our loads with the 167 grain. So let's go ahead and seat all of these guys. Okay, so those all seated nicely. It's time to move on to the 155 grainers. So let's back out our seating die a little bit and try the first one of these guys. Up and in, down and out. And we're at like 2.960, so 160 thousandths long. Let's go down to 150. 150. Let's see where that puts us. I'll go ahead and seat a couple of them. All right, there's 3 of them. Let's drop them all over the place, first of all, and then let's take some measurements. 2.817, 2.815, and 2.815. So let's go down 15. 10, and there's 15. Maybe we'll go 16. Yeah, there we go. That ought to be pretty close. See if that gets us a little bit closer. Now, with these lighter bullets and the heavier charge weights, these already, this first load here does feel like it might be a little bit compressed, or it's right there at 100% case capacity. I don't know, we'll see. All right, 2.803, 2.801, 2.802. I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and tweak it down about 3 thousandths and seat them all one more time. I don't wanna have them too long and run into magazine fitment issues. All right, there we go. Now let's take some more measurements. That's a little bit better. 2.799, 2.797, 2.799, 2.797. So we went a couple thousandths farther than we needed to, but that's okay. Now let's get a cartridge-based ogive number for these. 2.195. The next one's 2.195. The next one is also 2.195. So it looks like 2.195 is our cartridge-based ogive number. So let's jump forward to our max charge here. This is going to be our most compressed and see how much it affects that overall length number. I didn't hear a whole lot of crunching going on, so maybe it's not too compressed. Yeah, so our cartridge-based ogive number is now 2.199. That's 4 thousandths longer than it was with the starting charge. Let's see the second one of these and see if we get a similar number. Yep, exactly the same, 2.199. So as I go through these and seat them, I'm going to need to slowly tweak the bullet seating die down at least 4 thousandths, probably more like 5 or 6, to maintain that exact same 2.195 inch cartridge-based ogive number. Here's our second row. Let's see if it's stretched out any yet. Yeah, first row seems okay, 2.195 and a half. And the next one here is exactly the same, 2.1955. So hopefully that makes sense. So I think that's enough yapping here about bullet seating. Let's go ahead and call this part done and get out on the range. All right, folks, I've been dodging the rain here today. I'm not sure if we've got enough daylight left to get through all 50 shots. But hopefully we can at least get through the 167s, and then maybe I'll pick up the 155s tomorrow morning. Our gun has got a 20-inch Krieger barrel. It has a 1 in 11 twist. It is their M110 profile. We're shooting with a Silencer Co. Omega suppressor. This is an Aero Precision M5E1 upper, and we've got a Vortex Strike Eagle 4-24 by 50 scope in an odd mount base. My lab radar chronograph is set up. That's what's going to be collecting our velocity information for today. I've warmed up the gun a little bit. I did put a few rounds through it to get the scope sighted in and ready to go. So hopefully we're close, and hopefully we're shooting good groups right from the beginning. First up, the 167 grain Lapua Scenar, 43.8 grains of Reloader 15. Let's get started. All right, that's not a bad start at all. We kind of dropped that one shot a little bit low and to the left, but otherwise the other 4 went into a pretty good group. The brass doesn't look terrible, and I've got the gas block set right now. They're going to right about 3 o'clock. So at least the ejection pattern looks about right. And like I mentioned, the brass looks okay as far as case head damage goes. So let's move on. 44.1 grains is next. Uh-oh, got a little malfunction here. Did we fail to eject or did we fail to feed? What is going on? Yeah, it looks like that last one didn't quite feed all the way. All right then, maybe we need to crank the gas up just a little bit. We'll worry about that later. But it locks the bolt back. I don't know what's going on there. All right, folks, we are stacking them right in there. That was a pretty good group. Velocity 25.95. Pretty crappy standard deviation so far, but the groups are good. That's the most important thing. Brass still looks fine for the most part. Moving on, 44.4 grains. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Another one that didn't quite feed. Crap. Man, that was a perfect trigger pull. It would have been right in there. I'm not sure what the hell is going on. I'll tell you what, let me show you up close here. The ones that aren't feeding have got this big old gouge on the side of them. Yeah, is that focusing okay? Can you see what the heck I'm talking about? There we go. See that gouge on the side? That's where it's getting hung up. So it's not like bullet interference or feed ramp problems. It seems to be like I don't know what the hell's going on there, but that's what's choking things up. All right, let's feed this guy in there, see if we can put it into the group. But the thing is, I put it in the magazine and feed it, it always goes right in. So we might just need a little bit more gas. Like I mentioned, the brass is still going to about 4 o'clock. So a touch more gas might be the answer to this. I don't know. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Crap, crap, crap. Dang it. Man, that sucks. Crap. So our velocity actually went down just a touch. That's weird. But these standard deviations are so crappy that I'm not sure if I can trust a minor, rise or dip in velocity anyway. So Reloader 15 is doing a great job in a lot of ways, but standard deviation doesn't seem to be one of them. So we're moving on, 44.7 grains. Now this load, we're going to shoot them all through one hole. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, so we got one more group to go with the 167 grain Lapua Scenar. Couldn't be happier so far. It feels so great to be shooting these sorts of groups in 308. We've struggled so much in the past. It feels good to see some nice groups. All right, last up, 45.0 grains. All right, nice way to finish off with the 167 grain Lapua Scenar. All right, so we got some consistently crappy standard deviation numbers, but we've got some consistently good groups. The brass, well, we'll look at it here once we get back to the bench. Started to see some ejector marks there in the later charges. My ejection pattern did kind of start moving forward. This last group, 3 of the 5 shots went at about 2:30. So it seems like I'm at least, in that right range between 4 and 2 o'clock. And the brass isn't terrible. Like of these 25 shots, none of these pieces of brass are destroyed. So that's good news. All right, great groups. I'm going to let this guy cool down a little bit. I need to change out the battery in my audio recorder. I need to rest my eyes just a little bit, and then we'll move on to the 155 grain Lapua Scenar. I can't wait to see how the 155s do. Very different ogive shape. So things might get terrible or they might get even better. I don't know. I can't wait to find out. All right, folks, we're back from our little break. Didn't take quite as long as a break as I might normally have because like I mentioned earlier, we're running out of daylight, but that was a good 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. The barrel's not too hot. Like I can comfortably put my hand on it. So yeah, these 155s ought to be able to shoot. Let's see what happens. First up, 45.8 grains of it. All right, so that is not a good start. That group's not terrible, but in the context of our 167 grain groups, it's ugly. Interesting stuff. Moving on. 46.1 grains. Let's see how this does. All right, misfire there. Yep, doesn't look like we fed the next round. So we locked the bolt back, and hopefully that illustrates the complete bizarre nature of this AR-10 gas situation. We had a failure to feed, and then we locked the bolt back. How in the hell do you explain that? I think after this video, I will probably turn the gas up just a little bit, but I've reached the point where it's really minor adjustments that I think I need to make, because the gun's mostly cycling okay, but occasionally I'm just getting failures. It's weird, man. It's really weird. All right, folks, so we're in kind of a crappy situation here. One of these pieces of brass blew the primer. It had a pretty significant ejector mark, and it blew the frickin' primer. But the velocities aren't ridiculous. 2773 average there that time. That doesn't seem ridiculous. So why in the world did this round blow the primer? I am so confused by the AR-10 platform. Like, of course, any other time, this would tell me, okay, we're way over pressure. It's time to stop. This is where we should end the video. But this shouldn't be ridiculous pressure at this point. 46.1 grains. I don't know what the hell to do. The smart move would be to stop this right now. But the other 4 pieces of brass look fine. Like, the primers are maybe a touch flat, but they don't look any different from the 167 grain loads we shot, even the minimum charges. All right, against my better judgment here, let's go forward. If we pop one more primer, we're done. And the other problem is I didn't find the primer. It's not in the action as far as I can tell. Everything seems to be flowing okay. So I don't know, crap. So this is not a good start for the 155 grain Scenars. The groups are kind of crap. I've got pressure signs. It's just all bad, man. All right, moving on. 46.4 grains. Let's see if it blows our face off. Okay, failure to fire there. What do we got going on here? Another failure to feed. Okay. Let's try it again. Okay, so we're getting some distinct ejector marks on the brass, but at least we didn't blow any more primers. So we're moving on. 46.7 grains is next. And another failure there to feed. And that time it didn't lock the bolt back. Like, how in the hell do you explain that? The last 3 charges, which were lower, have locked the bolt back just fine, but 46.7 didn't. The AR-10 in 308 is so weird, man. It is so freaking weird. All right, folks, so that time we popped 2 primers. I'm done. I am absolutely done. We're not going to move forward. So the groups suck and we're popping primers. There's no reason to move forward. Let's get back to the bench. Okay, so as much as I would like to skip this part, we need to have a look at the brass problems for today. The first 3 rows with our 167 grain bullets, these were good. Just good looking brass, you know, a little bit of a ejector circle here and there. But for the most part, I'm happy with this. Our last 2 rows, we started to see a few issues. This was 44.7 and 45.0 grains. There you go. That guy got a little bit of a nick, a little bit of a smear going on there, and raised up a touch of a burr. And I saw some burrs in those last 2 rows with the 167. So it looks like with that 167, maybe 44.5 would be a reasonable max. That gets us about 2,600 feet per second. So not horrible. And then we switched over to the 155 and things got ugly. These are a couple examples from the first row. This was our starting charge of 45.8 grains. Smears and burrs. And now that I look a little bit closer at these, there is a bit of primer flattening there, right? Tell you what, let's put that back and let's compare it to our starting charge that we had used with the 167 to look at the flatness of the primer. Yeah, I should have been more observant. So even early on, there were signs of problems. Then that second row, we blew a primer. Here's that guy, gnarly ejector mark, big burr, and a blown primer. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I should have stopped right here. That should have been the end of it. But I'm an idiot, and I kept going. Here are a couple pieces from that third load. This is the biggest burr we've seen so far. But at least in that row, we didn't blow any. And then our last row, our fourth group, blew 2 primers, and even the ones that didn't blow, we had burrs, just all bad. So we were just way too hot. Velocity-wise, we got up to 2,800 feet per second. So this range was 2,750 to 2,800 feet per second. I didn't think that was unreasonable, but I looked back at the numbers from the last video where we shot this. This is the Federal Fusion MSR, 150 grain factory ammo. This stuff was running about 2,850 feet per second. So we weren't that far off from the numbers we saw in this stuff. Now, 5 of these were fired in the JP barrel and 5 were in the Krieger. I don't know which one's which, but across the board, even these, you know, got some ejector marks and some smears and stuff like that. So this stuff didn't exactly come out looking flawless either. So I don't know what to think. So today, it was just a mixed bag, a little bit of good and a little bit of really, really bad. All right, so let's move on and have a look at the groups. And our top row with the 167, I'm really happy with this. Our first group was just a little over an inch at 1.1 inches, but all of the others were under an inch, and our best group was our highest charge. Now, if we look at how these velocities compare to some of the factory ammo we shot in the previous video, the 168 grain Federal Gold Medal Sierra Match King, the Federal Gold Medal Match, that stuff only shot 2,531 feet per second. We also shot the 165 grain Hornady American Whitetail, which was a surprisingly good shooting ammo in this barrel. It shot 2,627 feet per second. So like I mentioned here, with our top row, those last 2 charges had a little bit more pressure signs on the brass than I'd like to see. So right around that 44.5 grain mark seems to be a sensible max load, and that puts us right in the ballpark with the factory ammo that we've shot with bullets in this weight range. So everything's good on the 167 front. You'll see it has a very stable point of impact. And a couple people in the comments section of the last range test video mentioned the same thing. Like, we were shooting all sorts of different bullets and, 6 different kinds of factory ammo. And this barrel shoots them all to just about the same point of impact. That's been something I've noticed on a lot of my very best shooting barrels. I guess it's stiffness, I don't know, but you can throw just about anything into them and you're just a couple clicks away from being, right back to a perfect 0. Pretty interesting stuff. All right, the bottom row, the 155s. Looking past our pressure problems and that nonsense, it doesn't look like this bullet's going to shoot. We've got a lot more of them and we're not going to give up. Like, we're going to try some other powders, try some more reasonable charge weights where we're not running into pressure problems. We're going to get the gas system running better and the gun functioning better and see if maybe some combination of those things improves the performance of the 155, but it's not looking good here. Our first 4 groups, these were pretty ugly. All of them over an inch, and they just don't look like they were trying to group. So that's just about it, folks. We've got a whole lot to work on, right? The weird failures, where it would go from a failure to feed 1 minute, and then the next round might lock the bolt back. That's a little bit confusing, just from my experience in the AR platform in general. But I think we need to touch more gas. I want to pick up some 168 grain Sierra Match Kings. I don't have any of them right now. I think that's going to be a good shooting bullet like this 167 Lapua, but the Sierra is a little bit easier on the budget. There's 100 million 168 grain bullets out there that we can test, and a lot of them are pretty similar to this Lapua design. I think in the next video we'll try a different powder. I'm not sure which way to go. Those of you that have experience reloading 308 in an AR-10, let me know what your favorite powders are. A couple off the top of my head that I'm thinking about are Varget or IMR 4895 or maybe AR comp or maybe a ball powder like maybe TAC. I don't know. You guys let me know what I should try. So that's it. So thanks to Thomas. He was the one who accidentally shipped me these bullets. Sorry for the lame jokes earlier. Thomas, I hope your other box of bullets made it there okay. And that's where we wrap this one up, folks. I'll see you guys next time.